Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name's Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping create this unstoppable mindset for you. Now yesterday I was talking about what was going on with coronavirus here in my hometown state of Victoria, and I predicted it. I said, do you know what? We're going to be locked down again. And guess what? A matter of a few hours after recording the podcast, our Premier came on TV and said, we're shutting down, not the entire state, but shutting down metropolitan Melbourne, which is where I live. And so after only being open again in my studio to the public for 16 days, as of in 8 hours time at midnight, we are going to be forced to shut down again for a period of 6 weeks. Now, I personally believe that it's going to be probably 90 days again. I can see them getting a handle on it. I can see, the numbers dropping down a little, but I think they're going to be very reluctant to open it up again. So why 6 weeks? Because they've thought, well, in these 2 week cycles that people the 14 days means that most people in that 14-day period will be over it. So if we get 3 cycles of that, then chances are we're out of the woods. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be 90 days. Now, we just had a 90-day lockdown and then we just came out of it 16 days ago and now we're going back into 6 weeks. But here's the thing. I've been planning for this to happen because I just knew it would. And I think it's just going to keep on going on. So there's not going to be a vaccine for this, maybe ever. So we just got to hang tough, right? And so I've been planning what I'm going to do, and now I'm switching into that plan straight away. I've got a busy few hours coming up with coaching clients, but as of tomorrow, boom, we're switching straight over. Unfortunately, it means that some clients will not come in to see us because they want to put hands on metal and lifting weights, and we're unable to do that for them because they don't have equipment at home and so forth, and they don't want to do like training with us in the park or anything like that. So that's unfortunate, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they can knock this thing on the head and we can get back to some sense of normality. But the reason that I have a plan in place and what my focus is for you today is about energy. Now, I keep talking about energy and focus and making sure that these things are right. Now, one of the key things for me in making sure that I am energized and operating at my optimum is to ensure that I'm fueling myself the right way. So that means, I mentioned this the other day, 6 meals a day, okay? 6 meals a day. So I want to go through in a little bit of detail about what I would include. Now, before I do that, I want you to know that we can create an individually tailored meal plan for you. And all you have to do is go to mentaltoughnessandbodyshow.com, scroll to the very bottom, click on the link there and you can opt in for a consultation, and that will be the process that kicks off getting an individually tailored meal plan for you. But I'm going to give you some broad brush guidelines here so that you can create this for yourself. So I talk about 6 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 3 snacks. So I want to tell you the components, the principles of making up breakfast, lunch, and dinner. First of all, we want to make sure that we're getting some protein in there. Protein, now that could be in the form of something like chicken, fish, beef, a vegetarian alternative, making sure that we're getting in a good serve of that. And for most people, it's going, let's just say it was a chicken breast or a piece of fish, it's going to be around somewhere between 100 grams, maybe 150 grams of the raw weight of that, to give you a bit of a perspective. Then I want to make sure that you're getting in plenty of plant-based food that is low energy. So when I say that, basically think of any vegetable excluding potato. That's to keep it really simple. And I also want you to keep it colourful. Now, the simple way to think of how much do I need to get in here, I say to people, use 3 cups as a guide, or think 2/3 of your plate wants to be covered with plant-based food. And then you want some high energy food there as well. So that might be, high energy food, complex carbohydrates. Here I'm talking about something like rice, preferably brown rice. It's nutritionally better, but white rice will suffice. Things like your potato, white potato, sweet potato. We call it sweet potato here in Australia. So your orange potato. Things like pasta, grains, breads like quinoa, oats, those things, they're also all high energy. And so you want a portion of those in. So for me, what I would do is I would have 3 cups of mixed vegetables. I have 150 grams of, say, chicken, and I would have half a cup of cooked brown rice. That would be a typical, say, dinner or lunch for me. And then, like for me, for breakfast, I would also have that for breakfast. I know that sounds a bit weird, but that's the kind of meal that I would have for breakfast. If I was on a maintenance plan. Now, what I'm actually eating right now is a little different to that. I'm not going to go through that because of what I'm working towards the end of the year. But essentially, it's the same. It's just the high energy food I do something slightly different with my workouts. So that's kind of typical. Okay, so what would you have for breakfast if you included all of those things? So some people love omelettes. So you might have an omelette. So what would you do for there? You'd say, okay, let's get in. Normally I say to people, say half a cup of egg whites, maybe 1 whole egg, put in a couple of cups of mixed vegetables there, keep them colourful, keep them crunchy, helps your metabolism. Cook that in an omelette, and there's your plant-based food and your veggies. Pop it on a slice of wholemeal toast, something like that, and there's your high energy food in the toast. There's a typical breakfast. You might have, say, a smoothie. So what I generally use for this one, I've got like a NutriBullet, something, a blender, a little blender that you can blend up your shakes in. I put a cup of frozen fruit, a cup of water. I use a couple of scoops of the protein powder that I use. I use an Isagenix one. I also put in something like chia seeds. I might put in a tablespoon of chia seeds. Now you could also put in, say a third or quarter of a cup of something like some natural muesli or some oats or even some brown rice, and pop that in there too. And you've got a whole meal in a cup. And that's another quick idea. Let's move forward to lunch. I'll come back to the snacks. Lunch. So lunch could be something like a wrap. So, like some flatbread, something like that. Again, put in your chicken, tuna, vegetarian option, lean beef, whatever. Put about your 100 to 150 grams in there. And then just cram it with plant-based food. So salad, and remember, colourful. I like to say pick at least 3 colours. So it might be lettuce, it might be kale, it might be, whatever you like there as a green base. It could be some carrots, some cucumber, some capsicum, some tomato. All of those things, just make it nice and chunky. And then what I do if I'm having a wrap, I would roll it up into like some Glad wrap, some cling wrap, so that it doesn't fall apart. Now, if you wanted to put a little bit of extra flavour in there, then I would say maybe put in maybe some mustard or some salsa or something like that, a little bit of low-fat mayo, that could also work. So let's break down that meal. The salad is the plant-based food. The protein is the chicken, beef, whatever you're putting in the middle. And the high-energy food, the complex carb, is what it's wrapped in. Okay, so that's another good one. Or let me give you another example, might be, say, chicken salad. So again, a big salad, put in heaps of salad, 3 different colours, keep it nice, at least 3, and keep it nice and crunchy. A little bit of a dressing can be okay on it as well. Put your protein in there too, and then you could say add some croutons. Okay, maybe a quarter of a cup of croutons, something like that you could put on top to give it some crunch, give it that high energy. Or you could put in something like some sweet potato, for instance. You might have baked up or cooked up some sweet potato, and you can put that in the salad as well, and there's your high energy food. Again, so there's a couple of examples there. Now let's move forward to dinner. So dinner, most people don't do too badly with this in terms of protein, but most people tend to overdo the carbohydrates, the high energy carbohydrates, and a pasta dish is a perfect example of that. Pasta dish, most people have way too much pasta, very little protein involved with that, and not a lot of plant-based food. So this type of meal that I would recommend was the one that I said before. If you think about your protein, okay, chicken, fish, beef, vegetarian option, 3 cups of vegetables, 1/4 cup of brown rice. That's a typical meal that I would put together. And you can put some little condiments on there as well, so that you can, we never want to sacrifice the flavour, we want to love the food, but you've got to take ownership of what you're putting on it, because keep in mind, probably 60-70% of people that are listening to this right now are going to be overweight or obese potentially, and the only way that we can help correct that condition is by making sure that we're burning off more energy than we're consuming. And so if you can take a note of some of the things that you are consuming, so like these condiments or the bits and pieces that you're adding here and there, then you'll start to see that, well, okay, I'm starting to reduce my calorie intake, my body's starting to reduce, and I'm actually enjoying the food. You're eating cleaner, you've got more energy because you're eating better quality, nutritious food, and you're no longer surviving so much on these additives that you're putting into your body. So really just being mindful of that. Your high energy food, like as I said before, your pasta. When I talk to typical Aussies here in Australia about what it is that they're eating before I start creating a meal plan for them, typical meals come up that they eat regularly are things like spaghetti bolognese, pasta bakes, rice bakes, heavy meals that have got a lot of high energy food. And people generally don't eat well throughout the day, don't eat 6 meals, maybe only eat 2 or 3, maybe max 4 times. And then when it gets to dinner time, they're really hungry, so they overindulge in these heavy meals. And then after dinner, maybe a few hours later, they're indulging in maybe higher energy snacks as well. So it might be chocolate, ice cream, alcohol, those things that all just sit there in your body and add up to a big excess of energy. So it's just about doing it a little bit different. So let me talk about some of the snacks now. So sorry, let me go back. I'm not saying that you can't have those things, but you've really got to take ownership of the volume that you're eating of those things, because it will hit your body hard. So you've got to watch your portion control. As we get older, we become less active, generally speaking, but we don't cut down our food to equate to the amount of less activity that we're doing. We tend to just keep eating the same food, and we tend to just back off our activity and wonder why we're putting on more fat. So let me move to some of the snacks now. These are all interchangeable. So AM, PM, evening snack. Just think, a piece of fruit perhaps. If you're a male and you've got a bigger body, then perhaps it's a couple of pieces of fruit for you. It might be an apple, it might be a banana. Don't always do a banana, but because banana is your high energy fruit. So think other things. Like berries are fantastic. So some fruit is good, some yogurt is good, maybe some rice cakes or some wheat biscuits, whole wheat biscuits with a little bit of peanut butter or a little bit of avocado or some tomato or some cottage cheese, low-fat cottage cheese with some cut up pieces of carrot or cucumber or capsicum or celery, and just use it like a dip. How much would you have? Probably something like half a cup of cottage cheese, low fat, and use that like a dip. Things like popcorn are also good. Not your coloured stuff or your caramelized stuff, but just clean fresh popcorn. Maybe a 20 gram bag, like a little bag that you might get from, in one of those 10-pack bags that you might put in a snack for the kids for school. Something like that is also a good little snack. There are plenty of others, but I'm just trying to give you some simple ones to start with. So the idea is to have you start your day with food as soon as possible. Okay, so this morning, for instance, I ate breakfast before 5 a.m. My breakfast is normally around 5 a.m. At the latest, it's probably 6 if I sleep in a little. So we want to try and get in most of our meals before 6 p.m. That's really the goal. but you can eat after that. My tip is to say, start breakfast as soon as you can in the morning, and then every 2 to 3 hours from that point on, you want to be eating, okay? To make sure that you're keeping your metabolism firing all day long. So if you're having breakfast at say 6 a.m., then morning tea is around 8 to 9 a.m. Lunch is around 12 p.m. 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. is your afternoon snack. 6 to 7 p.m. is going to be your dinner, and then maybe it's 8, 9, 9:30 p.m. is going to be your last snack of the night. And just making sure that that last snack is not a really big one, but like I just said, those little snacks. And what this does is it keeps your metabolism working all day. It will make you feel energized, and it's giving you enough of the right nutritious foods to take you from one meal to the next. Not from enough at breakfast time to get you through to lunch. You're having enough at breakfast time to get you through to morning tea, and then a little snack to get you through to lunchtime, and then to get you through to mid-afternoon, and then mid-afternoon to get you through to dinner time. Making sure that you're drinking at least 2 litres of fresh water a day too, so that helps you feel fuller for longer. And what does that mean? It means that you're less likely to go for the high-calorie option, overeating on those other foods that don't sit well on your body. So consistency is the key, just like all the great things that we do. And this is a part of becoming a strong, mentally tough person. You have to have a very strong focus on your health and your fitness and the food that you're consuming. You can't continue to eat rubbish and expect to get a high level of output for your business and be a great operator. You have to make sure that you put your health and your fitness as your number one priority, and that you are consistent in the food and the nutrients you're putting into your body. So you have a great day. As I said before, mentaltoughnessandbodyshow.com, you can get an individually tailored meal plan for us, and even just have a conversation to answer some of your questions that you might have specifically around food. Stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow.